Now, so in today's session, we are going to discuss about the security features in Salesforce. So, what exactly the security in Salesforce, and why should we go for the security features in Salesforce? Even though Salesforce itself is a secured product, then why do we need to maintain the security again to prevent the visibility of my records or the features? And what security features has been given by Salesforce by default, and how can we use those features in order to maintain the security so that we can grant the visibility on my features to the users and we can restrict the visibilities, and how can we configure these security features. Everything we'll see practically as part of this. See, it's a bit lengthy topic. It will take minimum 4 to 5 sessions completely, and then we have so many features are there as part of the security, like around 20 to 24 features are available. Like initially we have to discuss about the security features overview, and then we'll see the concept of licenses. So what exactly the license, what it describes, what is the use of license, how many types of licenses are available in Salesforce, and what exactly the profile, what is the importance of the profile, how many types of profiles are there in Salesforce, and then how to create our own custom profile and how can we assign these profiles to the users. Everything we'll see, and then we'll see the user management, how can we add the new users, and then how can we manage these users, we'll see practically. And then we'll see the concept of role hierarchy, and then what exactly the role, what is the importance of role hierarchy, we'll see, and how can we assign the roles to the users. And then we'll see a most important feature, that is OWD, organization wide defaults, what exactly this OWD and what is the use, and what options are there as part of OWD, how to assign the OWD for an object, we'll see. And then we'll see the concept of sharing settings, which is a 100% common question in the interview point of view. How many ways are there to share a record, and how to do that, we'll see practically. And then we'll see the concept of queues. So what exactly a queue, what is a use, how to configure the queue, and what a queue contains, everything we'll see. And then we'll see the concept of web to lead, web to case, and email to case, how to create the case record through email notifications. And then we'll see whenever a lead record or a case record has been created through the organization website, then how can we send an automated email notification to the people by using this auto response rules. We'll see how to configure the case escalations, and then we'll see the profiles in detail information, how can we grant the visibility to the users, and we'll see the concept of permission sets and what exactly it is, and we'll see how to restrict the Salesforce application can be accessible within a specific network IP ranges itself, like as a banking application. Like the banking application can be accessible within the bank network itself. Like the similar way, how can we configure my Salesforce application as well? And then when you go to the bank application, that will be accessible during some specific hours only, like as morning some 10 o'clock to evening some 6 o'clock. Like the similar way, how can we restrict the Salesforce application can be accessible so morning 5 to evening 5 or morning 8 to evening 4, like that, how can we restrict, we'll see. And then we'll see the remote site settings, and how to configure the holidays in Salesforce so that during these holidays days, okay, during these holidays timings, Salesforce won't allow you to log in, and how can we configure that and configuring the business hours. So these are the various of features are available as part of the security. Now let's see each and every feature one by one. So it will take minimum 4 to 5, or it may be extended to one more session as well. But the concepts are very interesting, concepts are very important as well. It's a major topic in Salesforce as part of configuration. So now first of all, we have to understand what exactly the security features, why do we need to configure the security. For example, assume that. So that already we have discussed when coming to the Salesforce. Salesforce is purely supporting the multi-tenant architecture. Because of that multi-tenant architecture, Salesforce is not providing a dedicated server for each and every customer. They are providing a shared infrastructure where Salesforce will maintain only one server, and then in that server they are going to be allocating the memory space for the various customers. In each and every region, it may be in the North America region, it may be in the Europe region, it may be in the Asia Pacific region also, Salesforce is maintaining the various servers. So for example, in the North America region, assume that they have a server some NA0. They have a server some NA0. So now in that NA0, they are going to be having some huge memory space. So whenever if any of the customer wants to utilize this Salesforce services, then Salesforce people are going to be allocating some amount of memory space for that particular customer. So now this allocating this memory space is called as an organization. This is called as an organization. It is also called as Salesforce.com organization, where every Salesforce.com organization will be getting identified with the help of unique identification number called as organization ID, which is always starting with some 00D. And then if one more customer showed interest, then Salesforce people are allocating that some more memory space for that organization too. So now for this is the organization 2, which they are going to be allocating for that some customer 2. For example, if the customer 3 showed interest, for that one, they are going to be allocating some more memory space that is called as organization 3, or for the customer 3. For one more customer, they are allocating that some more memory space. Like that, they are going to be allocating the memory space for the multiple organizations. How many? Some 8,000. Inside a single server, they are allocating the memory space for 8,000 organizations. That means for 8,000 customers, they are allocating the memory space. Now here in this case, so now every customer is going to be installing their applications inside that memory space. So whatever the memory space has been allocated by the Salesforce, in that memory space, the customers are going to be installing their own applications, and from there onward, they can store their data, their files, their records, everything will be available inside this. Now, so that means inside a single server, multiple applications, that means multiple customers, that means 8,000 customers data is getting resides. 8,000 customers applications are getting resides. 8,000 customers of files, documents, everything will be getting resides inside this. Now, so now here in this case here, whenever if any of the customer is utilizing the Salesforce services, by default Salesforce is offering a ready-made application to that customer called as Salesforce CRM application. Salesforce CRM application is a common. So now this customer 1 also can access this CRM application. Customer 2 also can access this CRM application. Customer 3 also can access this CRM application. Like that, all these 8,000 customers are able to access this CRM application. Because Salesforce CRM application is a common. that will be accessible by all the customers as well. So that every customer can able to access this Salesforce CRM application. Now, that means they can able to access that sales application. They can able to access the service application. They can able to access the marketing application. All these charter, community, content, like that, all these applications they can able to access, which is offering the Salesforce. For example, they're accessing the sales application. Through sales application, they're storing their customers' data. So through sales application, they're storing their customers' data, like as their account records, contact records, opportunity records, everything. They're storing this whole information. Now, now tell me in this case, how Salesforce is maintaining these records. So will Salesforce will maintains a separate copy of account table for each and every customer? Or will Salesforce will maintain only a single account table in order to store all this organization's information? Now, in this case here, that means customer 1 can create some account records. Customer 2 can create some account records. Customer 3 can create some account records. Customer 4 can create some account records. Then in this case, will Salesforce will maintain a separate account table for customer 1, and then a separate table for customer 2, a separate account table for customer 3, a separate account table for customer 4, like that? Or will Salesforce will maintain only one account table in which all these customers' data will get resides? In this case, when coming to the Salesforce, Salesforce is not maintaining a separate copy of account object or contact object or opportunity object, like that. Because if the Salesforce is maintaining a separate copy of these objects, then the number of copies will be keep on increasing. Because not only one customer, not only two customers, we have 8,000 customers are there in a single server itself. But now in North America region, they're having almost 132 servers right now. So at that time, maintaining those many number of copies of databases are very, very difficult. So for that one, Salesforce is not maintaining a separate copy of objects for each and every organization. Salesforce is maintaining only one copy of this account object, only one copy of the contact object, only one opportunity object, only one case object, only one solution object. Like that, all the objects are only one copy, not multiple. So in this case, Salesforce is having only one account table over here. So now in this case, whenever the customer is creating an account record from the customer 1, so now that account record will be storing inside this table. Whenever organization 2 people are creating some account record, those are also storing in the same table. Whenever organization 3 members are creating this particular account record, those are also storing in the same table. Organization 4 people are creating some account record, those are also storing in the same table. That means here, every organization's account records are storing inside a single account table itself. Then how Salesforce is maintaining the security? So how Salesforce maintains the security that these are the account records has been created by this particular organization. These are the records have been created by the organization 2. These are the account records belongs to organization 3. Then how Salesforce will maintain the security? Now let's see practically in this case here.
First, one question, sorry.
Yeah.
Now, like each organization account will have different kinds of fields, right? So each organization is very unique. So how they capture the account is very unique. So how can Salesforce capture every account of object of every organization in a single table?
Yeah, I will come to the point here. Let me explain that now. So in this case, when coming to the Salesforce, now Salesforce is not maintaining a separate account object for each and every organization, because if it is maintaining a separate account object, then there is no concept of security, because every organization is having its own account table, its own contact table, its own opportunity table, like that. So no need to maintain the security because these are unique. Like as organization to organization, these are unique. So no need to maintain the security. But Salesforce is not maintaining those many number of copies of these objects. Salesforce is maintaining only one copy of this account object. So in this case here, so now for example, so we are having these three organizations, organization 1, organization 2, organization 3. These are for the three customers. So now here in this case here, whenever the organization 1 person has created a record, that record will be storing. Assume that organization 1 people has created two records. Here is the first record, here is the second record they have created. Organization 2 people has created a record here. That record is, here is the record here. Organization 3 people has created a record, here is the record. So now, how Salesforce is differentiating that? Because here, for example, assume that I think everybody, nothing but you are having your own Salesforce account. So now in our session, we are having almost some 14 members are there. So now everybody is having your own Salesforce accounts. So in this case here, everybody is creating some account records. And then as part of this session, I'm creating some account records also to show some practicals to you. So at that time, whatever the records that I have created, those records are not visible to you. And whatever the records you have created inside your organization, those are not visible to me. But all our account records will be storing inside a single account table itself. Then how Salesforce is maintaining the visibility here? Now, so now here in this case here, for example, in order to maintain the security, that means in order to avoid the number of objects to be get created, Salesforce is going to making these objects as centralized. Salesforce is maintaining a centralized object where all the organization's records will be storing inside a single table itself. Then in this case, if the multiple organizations records are there in a single table, how Salesforce is maintaining the security here? Now let's see practically. So now here in this case, whenever we are going to be creating a record from a particular organization, for example, I am from organization 1. So now from my organization 1, I am creating some records. In this case, whenever you are going to be creating the record, after entering some data over here, okay, after entering some data, for example, I am creating one account record. Click on this accounts, click on new button, and I'm entering some data inside these fields. Then as soon as once you click on the save button, what will happen internally here? In this case, as soon as once you click on the save button, then it will be sending the data from my user interface to the Salesforce server to create a new account record. So at that time, what kind of data will Salesforce will send? In this case, Salesforce is going to be sending the various information. As soon as once you click on that save button, then immediately it will send your farm data. Farm data means what? Whatever the data that you have entered inside that fields, the data will be sending to the Salesforce server. And then, along with that, it is going to be sending the header information. It is sending the header information. That means what? So now whatever the data that we have entered inside that fields, now the data should be sent to that Salesforce server. Then how the data will be getting transferred? Because over the network it has to transfer. In order to transfer the data, it is going to be placing this data into the data packets. Okay, data packets. So now the data packets will be having the information, that means the fields information. That information will be carrying to till the Salesforce server so that it can able to create a new record. So that in this case, whatever the data that I have entered inside my fields, the whole information, the whole fields information may not be able to fit to a single data packet. So that it will divide this information to the various data packets, and once it is reaching to the destination, it has to arrange the data in the correct format, so that it is using that header information as well. Along with that, it will send your system's IP address also. It will send your system IP address, because once your request has been getting processed, then it has to send the response back to you only, right? Yes. Then how the Salesforce will identify you uniquely inside the entire world? For that one, it will be using your system's IP address. Based on your system IP address, the response will be sending back to you. And along with that, it will verify, it will send that your session ID also, in order to make sure whether you are already a authenticated member or not, already your credentials have been verified or not. It is going to be sending your session ID also. And then, in this case here, along with that, it will send your system operating system information as well. That means here which operating system has been installed into your local system. Along with it will send your browser information also, which browser you are using, and then what is the version of the browser it will send. And along with that here, up to this is a common for either Java programming, .NET programming, PHP everywhere in all the web technologies. But when coming to the Salesforce, to maintain the security, additionally, Salesforce is going to be sending your organization ID. That already you are aware of that. For each and every organization, Salesforce is going to be allocating an organization ID. Salesforce is allocating an organization ID which is in 18 characters alphanumerical number. Okay, 18 characters alphanumerical number. So which is always starting with 00D, which is always starting with 00D. Then where we can verify our organization number or organization ID, simply we can go to your setup menu, go to the administrator menu in the left panel, and then click on company profile, click on company information. Once you click on this company information, here you will be having this whole information. When you come down, here you will be having your salesforce.com organization ID here. We can able to verify your salesforce.com's organization ID also. So this is the organization ID which has been generated by Salesforce, which is 18 characters alphanumerical number, which is always starting with 00D. So now here in this case here, as soon as whenever we are going to be sending this data, then along with your normal form data, browser information, session ID, IP address, everything, it will send your organization ID also. Because here to differentiate the records from organization to organization, it will send your organization ID also. Now, so now here in this case here, upon click on that save button, along with my data which I have entered inside that fields, it will send my organization ID also, so that Salesforce is going to be differentiating the records from organization to organization by using that organization ID. So this is one of the additional column which Salesforce will maintain. Now this is the organization ID. Salesforce is maintaining one column called as organization ID. Now, it is maintaining that organization ID. Suppose, for example, now the first record here, the record 1 has been created by the first organization, that is organization 1, that is 00D 12345. So it will be maintaining that ID as well. 00D 12345. The second record has been created by the same organization. So in this case, it is indicating that 00D 12345. Next, the third record has been created by whom? The third record has been created by the organization 2. That is having 00D 23456. And then the fourth record has been created by the organization 3. That will be having 00D 45678. So now in this case, what happened? Salesforce is not only storing your data, along with that it is storing your organization IDs also. So now here in this case, when you go to your Salesforce instance, in order to get the account records, once you go to that accounts tab, so now here once you click on this go button to get all the account records available inside your organization, once you click on this go button, as soon as once you click on the go button, it will make a request to the Salesforce server by passing your organization ID. So now based on that organization ID, whatever the records are available, only those records will be getting visible to you here. So based on this organization ID, it will collect these records and then these two records will be getting visible to you. So now other people record will not be visible to you here. So when the organization 2 member has clicked on that, the go button to get that account records, it will send the organization ID. Based on this ID, whatever the records are available, only those records will be getting visible to them. So this is how Salesforce is maintaining the security by even though the Salesforce is storing the whole data inside a single object itself. So Now in this case, then where this organization ID field is available? Only in this account object? No. Every object, in every standard object, in every custom object, Salesforce will maintain these fields for the internal system reference purpose. So Salesforce is using these fields internally to maintain the security. So that here for system purpose, they are going to be using this one. Now,
This org not visible in UI, right?
yes, this organization ID field will not be visible in the UI. Through query also, we can't be able to fetch this information. Even though when you go to the schema builder also, even though when you go to the developer console also, we can't see these fields because these are the system referenced fields, so that we can't able to see this information internally. Okay, now come to a situation. So now if it is organization to organization, we are maintaining some organization ID field so that we can differentiate the record from organization to organization. Now, for example, inside an organization, for example, if I'm having some 2 users are there. In an organization, we can able to create 2 users. Now in this case, okay, I would like to able to create the 2 users. Because here, for example, inside my organization 1, I have built one banking application. Now this banking application is accessing by 2 of my employees here. Employee 1, some employee 2. So employee 1 is creating some record, that means user 1. Employee 2 is creating some record, that means user 2. So they are creating some records here. So that user 1 is creating some records, user 2 is creating some records. Now my requirement is, I want to provide the security of the records from user 1 to user 2. That means user 1's records should not be visible to the user 2, and then user 2's record should not be visible to the user 1. How can we maintain the security between the users within the organization? As of now, we have maintained the security between the organizations. Then how can we maintain the security between the users within the organization here? So in this case, whenever we are going to be creating a user record, every user will be having their own ID. Because a user is also one of the object in Salesforce. So that here, these are the users are creating the records. So in this case here, user to user also we can differentiate the records. Then how, whenever the user, we are creating the user, like as user 1, for that user Salesforce is allocating one ID which is always starting with a 005. That already we have discussed about that. During that object IDs or the schema IDs concept. Like as account object ID is starting with a 001, contact object ID is a 003, opportunity is 006, case 500, solution 501, user 005. Like that, we have discussed so many object IDs. So now, whenever I'm creating the user record, user 1, Salesforce will allocate one ID. For example, assume that this is a 005123. User 2 creates a record, then it will be allocating the ID. For example, 005234. Assume that. So now in this case here, for example, assume that the first record has been created by the user 1, second record has been created by the user 2. So now user 1, user 2. Then how can we differentiate this one? In this case here, as soon as once you click on that save button, now not only your organization ID, Salesforce will send your user ID also. Salesforce will send user ID also. These are the 2 additional information which will be sending by Salesforce through your browser internally. So now these 2 information will be utilizing the Salesforce to track whether your users are active or not, whether your users are correct users information or not. It will verify that. So that as soon as once you click on this save button, or once you click on this go button, or when you click on any of the button inside that Salesforce application to perform any of the operation, then automatically Salesforce will send this whole information along with organization ID and the user ID. As soon as whenever this data has been sending to the Salesforce server, it will verify your organization ID. First of all, it will check your organization ID. So now if your organization ID is active or not, it will verify that. Because when coming to the Salesforce.com organization, we can make it inactive. When suppose if I'm not using that Salesforce account since the last 365 days, automatically Salesforce will deactivate your Salesforce account. Or else, if you want to deactivate your account by yourself, also we can do that. Where simply we can go to your Salesforce account, you will be having this information is available. There, just you can go to that manage users. So the administer menu, go to the company profile, company information. Suppose if you don't want to continue with this Salesforce application, then we can make it deactivate also. That is possible. So that we can make this organization deactivated also. So now here in this case here, whenever we are going to making a request, nothing but some hacker people are trying to be performing these operations. At that time, so now at that time, it will verify that whether this organization is active or not. If the organization is active, then only we can able to perform the operations. So in this case here, it will verify whether your organization is in active or not. It will verify. If the organization is active, then it will collect your user ID. So now in this case, it will verify with this ID, do we have any user record is exist or not? If the user record is exist, then it will verify whether this user is a valid user or not, whether the user is in active status or not. If the user is in active status, then it will go to that user's profile. We'll see what exactly the concept of profile also in the next sessions. And then it will go to the user's profile. In this user's profile, it will verify whether this user is having the permission on this account object or not. Okay, it will verify the permission whether this user is having the permission on this account object or not. In this account object, it will verify the object level permission. That means whether this user is having the rights to create a new account record or not. It will verify that. If the user is having these rights, then only it will be creating the record and it will sending the response back to that user. This is the internal process of Salesforce. So this kind of verifications will be happening in Salesforce based on your organization ID and then your user ID. So now here in this case here, it will send this information, organization ID and the user ID. So that as soon as here, whenever I'm going to be creating the record, so at that time, not only my organization ID, it will send that user ID also. So that Salesforce is maintaining one more additional column that is called as user ID in order to maintain which user has created this record. So that it will be maintaining that user ID as well. Is the user ID. So for example, the record 1 has been created by the user 1, some user 1, and then record 2 has been created by the user 2. In this case, along with this organization ID, because both the people belong to the same organization, so that organization ID is common, and then it will be storing that user ID as well here. So now the first record has been created by the user 1, and the second record has been created by the user 2. So now for the user 1, we are having that ID that is called as some 005, so 1, 2, 3. And the second record has been created by the user 2, so that it is starting with 005, some 2, 3, 4, like that. So it will be holding that organization ID as well as a user ID also inside this. So that here, when coming to the Salesforce is maintaining 2 additional fields in each and every object. In every standard object, in every custom object, Salesforce is maintaining is 2 fields, that is organization ID and the user ID. So which are hidden fields which will not be visible to any of the user, so that these fields cannot be able to visible inside the user interface. These fields we can't see inside the schema builder also, inside the developer console also we can't see that. But internally for the system reference, for the Salesforce server references, so for the Salesforce security purpose, they are going to be maintaining these 2 fields internally by default. So that this organization ID and the user ID is a common fields everywhere. Now, in this case, in every object, Salesforce is maintaining the organization ID and the user ID. These are the 2 additional fields it will maintain here. Now, for example, you can raise a question. So now, just now somebody has raised a question like, sir, as part of this organization to organization, object structure may be completely different. Object structure may be completely different. In this case, how it is maintaining that? So now here in this case, when coming to the Salesforce, so now this is a standard object here. Account is a standard object. So account is a standard object, and then which is having so many standard fields, like as ID is a common field, name is a common field, standard field, industry is a standard field, like that. So many fields are there. These are common to all the organizations. Suppose, for example, as part of my organization one, I want some custom fields. Okay, I want some custom fields over there. Now, I want some custom fields. So now here in this case, whenever we want some custom fields, the custom fields will be getting available to you inside this object itself. This custom fields will be available to you inside this object itself. Whatever the custom fields that you want, we can able to create that field. For example, here, in this case here, I want that custom field. So like a some PAN number field. I'm creating one field that is called as some PAN number. As part of my business requirement in the organization one, I'm creating one custom field that is called as PAN number. PAN number field. In this PAN number field, I have stored some data. Now tell me what about this field? Whenever as an organization one, if I'm creating this field, so then will this field will be visible to all the organizations inside that server? No. Salesforce is maintaining a separate tracking table. So now in this object, the users can create some multiple fields also, depends upon their business requirement. In organization one, they want some custom fields. Organization two, people want some custom fields. Organization three, people want some custom fields. At that time here, the fields will be available over here, but internally Salesforce is maintaining some more other objects in order to track which custom fields are belongs to which organization. So there we're there. So now whenever the people are trying to be accessing this information, it will refer on those internal reference objects. Based on that, only your data will be getting visible to you. That flexibility is available. That means what? Standard objects, standard fields are common to all the organizations. Custom fields are specific to that organization. So that, for example, I have created a custom field that is PAN number as part of this organization one. So that this field can be accessible only by the organization one members itself. That possibility is available over here. So that this PAN number field cannot be accessible by the organization two. Now, you can raise one more question also. So for example, organization two people are also want to create the one more field with the same name PAN number. Then what will happen in this case? At that time, Salesforce will allow you to create that field also. So because this PAN number field is belongs to the organization one, and then organization two people are creating one other field that is called as PAN number two. So the PAN number field also same, but that is for the organization two. So that in this case here, Salesforce is going to be differentiating the fields also from organization to organization. Now, so now here in this case here, whenever we are going to be creating our own custom fields are specific to that organizations. Now, what are the standard fields are available? Standard fields are common to all the organizations available inside your Salesforce instance in all the ECN servers. So now here in this case here, whenever we are going to be creating your own custom fields or your own custom objects, at that time, custom objects and custom fields are specific to the organization. Those will be available. For example, you can raise a question. Sir, for example, as an organization 2, we are creating one table called as with the name some customer. With the name some customer. So now it is creating that object with the name some customer __ C. Like the similar way, organization 3 people wants the table with the name some customer here. So now what will happen in this case? Salesforce will allow. Salesforce will allow you to create that object as well. But in this case, it will be maintaining that differentiation. That means this object is belongs to the organization 2, this object is belongs to organization 3. So that here, internally Salesforce is maintaining some reference tables through which it is going to identifying which table is belongs to which organization and then which field is belongs to which organization. They will be maintaining this whole information by using some reference tables internally. So this is how Salesforce is going to be maintaining that objects internally by default and the records also. So Salesforce is not providing and Salesforce is not maintaining a separate account object for each and every organization. They're maintaining only one within that single table itself. All the organization's information, account records information will be getting resides. And then in order to segregate the information from organization to organization, they're using an additional field, organization ID. Within an organization, if you're having some multiple users are available, to differentiate the record from user to user, it is maintaining that user ID field. So these are the two additional fields will be maintaining by Salesforce internally by default in every object, in every standard, every custom object also, it will be maintaining this two. Whenever you are trying to be getting some data, whenever you are trying to be inserting some data, always your organization ID, your user ID will be supplying to that Salesforce server. Based on this organization ID and the user ID only, it will be authenticating your request and it will be performing that operation for you. Because you should have the proper permissions here. Why? Because sometimes here, for example, this user ID field, this particular PAN number field I'm creating from the organization 1. In my organization 1, I'm having two users are there, user 1 and the user 2. In this case, you can raise a question, sir, I want to make this PAN number field to be visible to only to the user 2. I don't want to make it visible to the user 1. That is also possible here. User 1 should not be able to access the PAN number field, and the user 2 can able to access the PAN number field as well. Like that, nothing but field level security also we can maintain. Not only the object level security, field level security also we can maintain, record level security also we can maintain. All the possibilities are available. Because a record level security is maintaining over here so that user 1's records will not be visible to user 2, user 2's record will not be visible to the user 1. Record level security is maintaining by maintaining that user ID field. And after that we can maintain the field level security, object level security, application level security, system level security, everything we can maintain. We'll see all these concepts as part of the security features in Salesforce. So this is how Salesforce is maintaining that security of the records between that multiple organizations and between the multiple users within the organization by maintaining the organization ID and the user ID. Now, this is the internal concept of Salesforce here. This is how they are going to be storing that all the users' information. So now you all 14 members are having your own Salesforce accounts. You all the people has created some account records, and myself also created some account records. And all these records are storing inside a single table itself. But at that time, it is maintaining your organization ID and your user IDs also, and my organization ID, my user ID as well. So that when you click on that view button or the go button, automatically my organization ID, my user ID will be getting sending to the Salesforce server. Based on that organization ID and the user ID, it will collect the respective account records and those records will be getting visible to me. So this is the internal functionality over here. Now, so in this case here, then how can we maintain these users? So whenever if you want to maintain the user, then we require a component called as license. We require a component called as license. Then what exactly a license? What is the use? So now basically, license describes a set of features can be accessible by a user. Okay, a set of features can be applicable to a user. Like for example, come to a scenario. Assume that I have a bike, I have a two-wheeler vehicle. So I want to drive this bike, I want to drive this vehicle on the roads. In order to drive the vehicle on the road, first of all we need a license, or else the police people will catch me again. So I need a license here. That means I need the permission. License means a permission. Okay, that I need a permission to drive my vehicle on the roads. So in this case here, when coming to the licenses, we are having various types of licenses. Like we have two-wheeler vehicle license, four-wheeler license, like that. So in this case here, if I'm having the two-wheeler license, then I can able to drive only the two-wheeler vehicles itself. I can't drive the four-wheeler vehicle. Suppose if I'm having four-wheeler vehicle license, then I can drive two-wheeler vehicles also, I can drive four-wheeler vehicles also. The possibility is there. Now, In this case, what happened? Each and every license is describing some set of features. Two-wheeler license is granting the permission to you that you can drive two-wheeler vehicles. Four-wheeler license is going to be granting the permission to you to drive the four-wheeler vehicles. Now, in this case here, now for example, in my family, we have four members are there. In my family, we have four members are there. My father, my mother, my sister, and myself. Now we are having a car. We all four members know how to drive the car. We know the car driving. Now tell me, for my entire family, one license is sufficient or everybody should have a separate license? Everybody should have a separate license. Because the person who is driving that car, that person should have that license mandatorily. The person may be anybody. He may be my father, mother, my sister, myself, whatever. Everybody should have a license. So that means what? In a family, if you're having some four members are there, four family members are there, at that time, all those four members should have four licenses separately. Everybody should be having their own license. Like the similar way here also, inside your organization, if you want to add a user, then every user should require a license. Every user should have a license. Then what this license describes? This license describes a set of features can be accessible from the organization. Because in my organization, what I have, in my organization, I'm having so many applications, so many tabs, so many objects, so many fields, so many records, so many page layouts, and so many Apex classes, so many Visualforce pages, so many things are available. Then in order to grant the access on these features, then I would like to create the user. In order to create the user should have the license. Now this license will decide what features can be accessible by this user. So that when coming to the license describes a set of features to be accessible by the users. License describes a set of features to be accessible by the users. Now here in this case here, so now what features will be describing granting access by these licenses here? And how many types of licenses are available now? Let's see. In this case, whenever if you want to add a user record, if you want to add a user record in Salesforce, then every user should be associated with a license. Every user should be associated with a license. Suppose for example here, if I'm having some two users are available, user 1 and the user 2. So in this case, for the user 1, we should have the separate license like as from license 1, and the user 2 should be having a separate license like as from license 2. So that every user should have a separate license. So that depends upon the number of users you would like to create, those many number of licenses we should have. This is a mandatory thing. This is how Salesforce is going to be avoiding the piracy concept in IT industry. Suppose, for example, assume that, come to a general scenario. Assume that I'm having a small company. In my company, I'm having some 50 employees are available. I have some 50 employees. For every employee, I have allocated a separate desktop system. So totally 50 desktops are available here. For all these people, we need to provide that MS Office software. MS Office. Now tell me, will you buy 50 licenses of MS Office or only one license? As a clever people, will buy only one license here. We'll buy one license, and then with this one license software, I'm going to install into all the desktops over here. That means what I'm doing, I'm purchasing only one copy, I'm using in 50 systems. So that means what? It's a piracy thing. Okay, it's a piracy. That means here the Microsoft people are getting some loss. I'm using that one copy in the 50 systems. So in this case here, there is a piracy is happening in the IT industry nowadays because we are giving the complete software to that customer so that we don't know in how many copies, in how many systems the customer is installing that software. So now here in this case here, even though the license key is available through online, at that time what the people will do, so just they will install that MS Office software inside a single desktop system, and they will create an image copy by using the network administrator people, the same network, the same image copy they're installing the multiple systems also in one shot. That possibility is there. So now in this case here, there will be some piracy, but now in Salesforce, Salesforce is purely avoiding this piracy because software they're not giving to you. We are not installing anything in our local system, so that compulsorily we have to create the users. But if we want to create the user, we should have the license. So that here, this is how Salesforce is avoiding the piracy in Salesforce, in the IT industry. So that if you want to create the user, then compulsorily we should have the license. If you are not having the license, then we can't create the user record. So that every user should have his own license. Without the license, we can't create the user record in Salesforce.
How much would one license cost, Firoz?
Sorry?
How much would one license cost for an organization?
Now, that will be depends upon the license type. So now generally here, depends upon the features which you want to grant, we can able to buy the different types of licenses. We'll see those licenses as well. Generally, Salesforce license cost is $300. Okay. Each Salesforce license cost is $300 over there. The which can be get assigned to a single user per month, per user license. Now, so now those licenses has to be purchased by the client itself. The client has to buy all these licenses. Now, so now here in this case, whenever we are going to be creating the user record, every user should be associated with a license. So depends upon the number of licenses that we have, only those many number of users we can able to create in Salesforce, not more than that. That is the limitation that we have. So now in this case here, when coming to the Salesforce, Salesforce is providing the various types of licenses to you. The Salesforce is providing various types of licenses. Like Salesforce is providing the Salesforce license, and then it is providing the platform license, and it is providing the charter fee license, and it is providing like as customer community license. Like that, we are having the various types of licenses have been given by Salesforce. Now here in this case, what exactly is Salesforce license? Salesforce license is also called as the standard license. It is also called as the full license. It is also called as full license. Now, this Salesforce license is granting the access on, it will be granting the access on both standard functionalities and then the custom functionalities. That means what? With the help of this Salesforce license, you can able to access all the standard objects, custom objects, standard tabs, custom tabs, standard fields, custom fields, standard applications, custom applications, standard features, custom features, everything we can able to access. So whatever the standard functionalities have been given by Salesforce and whatever the custom features which we have configured, everything we can able to access with the help of this Salesforce license. That possibility is available. That's what it is called as a full license also. And platform license. When coming to the platform license is purely concentrating on the platform part. Platform means what? For the custom applications. So that platform license is purely granting the access on the custom functionalities. Custom functionalities. That means they can able to access all the custom functionalities. That means all the custom applications, custom objects, custom tabs, custom fields, and the custom functionalities, everything we can able to access along with the few standard objects. Only few standard objects like as account object, contact object, document object, task, and the event. And these are the objects you can access. Apart from these 5 objects, you can't access any other standard functionalities in Salesforce with the help of this platform license. Because platform license is purely concentrating on the platform part. That means on the customizations part. That means on the custom functionalities part. So that it will be purely granting the access on the custom functionalities and along with that few standard objects in Salesforce. But standard applications you can't access. Standard fields you can't access here. All these things we can't access that. Now, in this case, when coming to that platform license, Platform license is purely concentrating on the custom functionalities and aligned with that only few standard objects in Salesforce, that is account and the contact and the document, a task and the event. Next, the charter free license is purely granting the access on the charter feature. It is purely granting the access on charter feature. That means what? In order to have some communication with the other customers through that the charter functionality. By using the text-based conversation like as your Facebook, if you want to have any text-based conversation regarding your problems, regarding some questions, regarding some knowledge sharing, then at that time we can go with the charter functionality. And then, except the charter feature, we can't access any other functionality. You can't access any applications, objects, or fields, nothing. You can't access anything. And the community licenses. Now, these community licenses are used to grant access on the portals. Okay, to grant the access on the community portals. So now it may be the customer portal, or it may be the partner portal. In order to grant access on the community portals, we are going to be using the community license. Like that, here Salesforce is providing so many types of licenses to you over here. So now here in this case, these are the various types of licenses are available in Salesforce. So that every user should be requires a license mandatorily. It is a mandatory thing in order to create a user card. If you don't have the license, then first of all buy the license from Salesforce, then only we can able to use that license to create a user card. So in this case here, what are the licenses are available, all these licenses information will be storing inside an object called as user license object. User license is one of the standard object which contains all the licenses information. Like all the account records information is storing in the account object, lead records information is storing in the lead object, position records information storing in the position object. Like the similar way, all the users information will be storing inside that user object. So now the user's information will be storing inside the user object. All the user's information will be storing inside the user object. Like the similar way, all the licenses information will be storing inside the user license object. These are the standard objects maintained by Salesforce over here. Now in this case, I cannot get in this case. Now how can we see that? When coming to the licenses here, how can we see where exactly the licenses information is available? In this case, to see that all this information of the licenses, then we can able to verify this information. Go to that setup menu. Go to the administrator menu in the left panel. Go to the company profile. Go to the company information. You can go to that company information link. Inside this company information link, we are having the section called as user licenses section. Here we have the section called as user licenses section. In that one, we can see all the licenses which have been given by Salesforce. So in this case, what will happen? It is populating all the licenses information and how many licenses has been given by Salesforce. That means how many licenses that we have, how many we have assigned to the users, how many remains, when will be the expiration date of that license. The whole information we can see in this place. Because here that already I told you, user licenses are purely on monthly rental basis. Okay. So now every user license cost is which will be available in terms of some dollars per month per user license. Now that license should be assigned to one user. One license, one user. Second user, second license. Third user, third license. Like that separate. But one license we can't assign to the multiple users. But multiple users can't have a single license. Now, in this case, every user should have their own license. So now in this case, all the user licenses information we can able to see by using this navigation process over here. Now, in this case, let's go to the navigation process. Go to the company profile and the company information. When you come down, here it is indicating that. So now these are the various licenses information is available. Now it is giving that various licenses, Salesforce licenses, platform licenses, community licenses, XR proxy user license, worker.com only license, customer portal manager customer, identity license, and then customer community plus license, silver partner, gold partner, like that. Salesforce has given so many license types over here. These are the various license types you can able to see. So in this case here, we want some licenses to create some users. Now in this case, you can raise a question. Sir, we are using some free developer account. We are not paying any amount to Salesforce. Then do I need to buy these licenses? No. No need to buy these licenses. Salesforce is giving some free licenses also to us. As part of this free developer account, Salesforce is providing some set of free licenses. What free licenses? Salesforce is providing some Salesforce licenses also. Second one is Salesforce is providing some platform licenses. And then Salesforce is giving some charter free licenses. And Salesforce is giving some customer community licenses. Then how many Salesforce is giving that? By default, Salesforce is giving that 2 Salesforce licenses on free of cost as part of free developer account. And as part of platform, 3 licenses will be giving the Salesforce. Charter free, Salesforce is giving that 5,000. And the customer community, 5 licenses. So these are the various licenses given by Salesforce on free of cost, okay, for the free developer account also. So now in this case, we can verify that. When you go to that user licenses, here we can verify. So now Salesforce licenses, how many total number of licenses, how many licenses you have used, how many licenses are remains when we do the expiration date of that license. We can verify this. Salesforce has given 2 Salesforce licenses to me here. One is in use. Then we can raise a question, sir, where we have used this one? We haven't created any user record as of now. Then who is using that? Upon creating the Salesforce account, I have filled the details inside the registration form. In that form, I have entered some first name, last name, company name, like that. So with those details, it is creating one user account. That user is using this license. So whatever the account, whatever the username and the password that we are using right now to log into a Salesforce account, now that is one of the user's credential that has been created by you, the Salesforce, upon creating the Salesforce account. So that user is utilizing one license, so one more license is remaining. As part of platform, we have given by the Salesforce given that 3 licenses. We haven't used anything, so all the 3 are available. Customer community, Salesforce has given the 5 licenses. We haven't used anything, all the 5 are remains. And like the similar, if you want to see some more license type, then you can click on go to the list 42. Now we can see that remaining types of licenses also over here. Now, in this case, we are having the charter free licenses. Charter free licenses, how many? Salesforce has given 5,000. One is utilizing by the user, and the remaining 4,999 is remains over here. Like that, here Salesforce has given so many free licenses to you by default as part of that free developer account, and those licenses we can able to use in order to add those, in order to create those users. So that here we are going to be creating the users by using these licenses itself, which has been given by Salesforce to us by default. So that as part of the free developer account, we have 2 Salesforce licenses, 3 platform licenses, 5,000 charter free licenses, and then customer community licenses are 5. Like that, Salesforce has given so many licenses to us. By using these licenses, we can able to add our own users. Then in this case, how can we assign these licenses to the users? How to create these users, we'll see in tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, we'll see how can we create these users, then what are the other things are mandatory here. Okay, we'll see practically. Because as of now, we have understood that in order to create a user account, the first thing which we need is license. Without the license, we can't create the user account. Then what else things are required to create the user account, we'll see in tomorrow's session, and then we'll see how to create the users in Salesforce. We'll see practically. Okay. From tomorrow onwards, I'm starting that the user management concept. Before that, we'll be discussing about the concept that is profiles also. We'll see what exactly a profile, what is a use, what is the importance of the profile, and then how to use these things to create the user records. We'll see practically what all that. Okay. So regarding the security features, I will place one document to you inside your drive so that you can able to access that. Then I would like to. I have described the complete information about them. What are the things I have delivered today? The whole information I have described in that Word document. I will place that document in you. You can able to access that. Okay.